find that on our channel. All right, everybody, welcome to Smart Moves. This is our weekly deck showcase, and this week we are doing Druid. I am Tsetzuko here with my co-host Slicky, and fortunately for you guys, we have already done the news in a different segment. It's a new thing for us now, splitting out the news and the deck showcase. So don't want to fill the beginning of this video with a bunch of rambling because that would defeat the purpose. So let's get in and talk about Druid. So this week we're showcasing two decks. Druid was my pick, so we'll be showcasing Slicky's deck first. But before we get started with the deck showcases, we want to take a minute and just kind of talk about the state of Druid and our experiences with creating our Druid decks.
Okay. You go ahead. This is your pick.
So for me, this was pretty easy because I knew going into this expansion that what I wanted to do with Druid was one of two things. I wanted to either make the Recruit Druid that I was playing during Kobolds and Catacombs even cooler, which they gave us like nothing. Nothing for Recruit Druid. Every card that came out, I was like, is it 4 or less? Is it awesome? Does it do? No. So obviously couldn't do that. So the other idea, what I wanted to do with Druid was make a mill deck. And they did give us some cards for that. And basically when I started creating this deck, I started looking at some of the new expansion cards, and some of the ones that looked like they weren't that great at first actually worked really well in a mill deck. So the majority of my experience has been in creating that deck, and so I have a lot of appreciation for some cards that I think don't see a lot of play. And you know, this is a deck that I was able to... I put a lot of focus into refining this deck at the very beginning of the expansion. It took a couple days, played against some friends that came over, you know, playing top tier kind of decks, and was able to get a decent win rate against them. So that's my experience with Druid so far. I haven't really expanded too much beyond that. So yeah, I think overall, you know, Druid is, for me, has been fine this expansion.
Cool. Yeah, I think they gave a lot of tools for your deck. You know, I don't know if they did that on purpose or if it was like incidental just because they wanted to set this new archetype. But I actually had a lot of trouble. I went through several different iterations before I found a deck that I actually liked, because I feel like Druid got kind of hard pigeonholed in this expansion.
Yep.
Everything's hand Druid. And most of the other classes didn't have that. Most of the other classes had stuff that worked with some of the stuff they already had, and what enabled maybe a new archetype or maybe a new rendition of an old archetype. But most of what Druid got was all focused around doing hand stuff. That sounded weird.
Yep.
Anyway, and a lot of those cards are really bad. Well, I say a lot. What is it? Ferocious Howl or whatever it's called. It's really good.
Yeah.
But the Bewitched Guardian is just silence bait. And you know, the Treant thing, that's okay, but you're taking a tempo loss, and in a tempo generated meta, you're probably going to lose because of it. And it enables token decks, which I don't really like because it's just another form of aggro.
Yeah, and I think those are harder to make in standard. You know, Market Lotus loss is a big deal for token decks,
Yeah,
I think.
it is. So, I was not excited. I tried a bunch of different things. I tried even. I tried odd, but there were a lot of cards that I also didn't get any legendaries with this expansion. So it took me a really long time to find a deck that I could make for Druid. It was really tough. And then when I made it, I was like, this is the most fun deck I've ever made. This is probably the most fun deck I've ever made. And it's not a very good deck, but it's a lot of fun. So the experience was painful to make this,
but ultimately rewarding.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it was very rewarding. So
All right. Well, let me punch in your deck here because I did not put it in prior to the show. So let's go ahead and pop
let me
this
get
in
my
here.
Hearthstone pulled up. Get ready. We didn't talk about my mustache in the news segment. That was a mistake, right?
Okay, so this deck is a standard deck. It's called Drawn to Death. Let me get the deck list up here for you. So we got it on the left side. So, yeah, let's talk about what went into the creation of the deck.
Let me pull it up. I can't actually see your screen right now.
Are we
We can
not?
talk about some of the card selections and stuff.
Yeah, I see
Okay.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I see you've got Master Oakheart, which I don't have, but I've wanted to deck build with him, so I'm definitely. And you got Master Dorian. I'm jealous of some of your legendaries in here, so tell me why they're in here.
That's one of the reasons why this is the most fun deck I've ever made. This deck has so many trash cards that nobody ever uses, and they work incredibly well together. So originally, I've been trying to make a Dollmaster Dorian deck since he came out. I thought he has the coolest animation of any card in the game, maybe next to Deathwing. I don't know, it's close. Um, but like the only way you can use them is with cards that have static effects that are constantly working, or with death rattles. And so I thought, well, this is an archetype I haven't been able to make yet. I haven't been able to make it work. So let's just try it in Druid because nothing else is working. So basically, because it's such a tempo-oriented meta right now, I have to do a ton of taunts. And I also have to do a ton of death rattles to make Dollmaster Dorian work. And I also don't want a lot of spells because you don't get value when you draw cards with Dollmaster Dorian that are spells.
Yeah.
So everything in here is either a taunt or a death rattle that's used to control and push the board. So Hogger, like, I'm sure there are way better taunts and stuff, but this is a static card that I can just yank out onto the board and start getting taunts out of. So that's pretty awesome. If I was to draw, I don't know, like, just a big 8/8 taunt or something, it wouldn't be any use the turn it hits the board. But if I can get Hogger onto the board with Dollmaster Dorian, that's great value. And that goes for pretty much every single card in here. And Master Oakheart has the benefit of pulling almost every card in here is like a 1, 2, or 3 attack minion card. So I can get all kinds of cool combinations with that. A lot of times I can pull out Spirit Seeker Umbra as well as Dollmaster Dorian. And if I do that, then my opponent's going to be like, there are a lot of high value minions on the board that I have to deal with all at once. And when that happens, a lot of times they can only kill one, and I end up getting a lot of value. And Lich King there is mostly just to provide like late game power because this is primarily a control deck, so you need some late game value. Skelemancer is a really weird card that nobody ever uses, but it does two things primarily in this deck. It prevents AoE, and when paired with Abomination, it gives you the ability to clear the entire board most of the time and then have an 8/8 on the board the next time.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's a really sick combo you can set up. If you can just get one Skelemancer on the board, one Abomination, they have to deal with something. And it works pretty well. The deck, like I said, it's not a good deck. I've lost a lot, but slowly it's actually starting to win more and more games. So it kind of sits in the middle ground. It's kind of a control deck. I'd say it's mostly a control deck. So basically, you're just going to load up with taunts and volatile elemental and all that stuff in the early game, and then you're going to save Dollmaster Dorian until turn 10, drop Dollmaster Dorian, nourish, get 3 minions on the board. Normally they'll be taunts, or they can give you some sort of value, and also play Master Oakheart whenever you need them to get even more stuff out on the board. So it's a really fun deck to play. This is like the most smart moves deck I've ever made. It's fantastic.
Well, it looks fun. So, yeah. Why don't we jump
Gonna get,
into?
like, wiped out on turn 3 in my match, but are we ready?
Yeah. Let's jump in. Let's do it.
Okay, I'm just gonna do a casual match because I've got a decent win rate right now in standard ranked, but to maximize my chance of actually winning a match, I'm going to play in casual.
Hey, I did rank 25 standard earlier against Spell Hunter.
Spell Hunter, yeah.
Like a perfect curve Spell Hunter. Alright, I am loading up the spectate now. Let's see.
Great, so I get to play against a Q block, so I'm gonna lose. Now, I don't actually want Volatile Elemental right here because he's going to have Kobold Librarian. He's going to play that and it's not going to trade with anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and start getting some of my big taunts onto the board early. And I didn't get them. But Skelemaster's actually pretty good against Warlock just because they use so much AoE.
Yeah, that's true.
Orphis? Yeah, I'm playing Orphis. Isn't that awesome? So he's got the beetle, so he's probably control lock. I guess I kind of have to play this, so I don't just take a bunch of damage. But like, this is an unusually bad curve. There's a ton of early game drops in this.
Yeah.
But I just didn't get any of them. So.
Yeah, I did see that in the deck list. So.
Yeah, we're picking up all of our late game. So that's kind of brutal. He might be more zoo-oriented, though. Just playing Flame Imp.
I like how over time the resolution on these card backs is getting better and better.
Is it?
Yeah, like that's a super crisp card back that he's using. And it's one of the more recent ones.
So I'm not really sure what kind of deck this guy's playing. Hey, there we go. Get a Skelemaster.
Well, so he's going all face.
It's fine. Why would he do that?
Maybe he has an answer for Skelemaster.
Maybe. God, all of my late game. Okay, I'm gonna save Nourish just in case I don't draw the other one, just to get Dollmaster out later.
Yeah.
And
just loot horror and.
let's hit I wonder if he felt really threatened by Skelemaster, so he had to set up a 2-turn Siphon Soul for it.
Yep.
Hey, see, Skelemaster paying off already. So, let's see. I don't think he'll have an answer to this. I mean, he might have a Siphon Soul, but that's it. Next turn, I can start getting some of my smaller stuff out of the way with Crystal Guardian.
He's digging.
So you kind of want to play Grizzled Guardian before you play the other things, just to go ahead and start getting rid of your smaller stuff if you can.
No mortal coil, though.
Oh, look at that! We got our man on the board.
This will be grisly.
He's not. But, you know, he's in my hand. We can play him at some point. So, probably... maybe not twist. Defile.
Out of my jungle.
Okay.
Let's see. I think I want to go ahead and play the Lich King.
Yeah.
Just because, like, you don't really want very many minions on the board when you play Dollmaster, just because you're about to get a ton of them. Ooh, I don't know if I can
Resist.
resist.
Yeah.
Actually, let's go ahead and do this. See if we can get him to use a Twisting Nether. And then we'll Dollmaster Dorian Nourish. And then we'll play Master of first, I guess. As you can see, the fun is already starting to pick up with this deck.
Obliterate. Ooh.
Unleash me.
Okay.
So this is going to be a really fun Dollmaster turn.
Are you gonna be able to? Oh man, you Dollmaster into like a Skelemancer. Are you gonna overdraw though? Yeah, you'll overdraw, won't you?
Oh yeah, you're right, I would. Okay, well let's go ahead and play Master of Cart and see what we can get.
Onward, friends, to adventure.
Driftwood's always awesome.
Got some protection.
Mm-hmm. I'm expecting a probably Twisting Nether this turn. Yeah, this isn't one of the better matchups. It does pretty well against like Elemental Mage, Shaman, but we'll see. Just because he has a ton of like, you know, board gears and stuff, and this is a very big board kind of deck.
Death and Decay.
Death and Decay looks pretty good, but I kind of want to save that for when he starts playing his giant demons that he's going to play sooner or later, right? So, let's see. I'll go ahead and kill one of these guys. Crazy stuff. Yeah, splitting Fester really good with Dollmaster. Not cool by himself. Gotta do what you gotta do, huh? I think this is a turn. See if we can get some value.
This one turned out nicely.
We're probably gonna draw our... Oh, fuck. No! 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 Inconceive. Inconceive.
Click the wrong thing, huh?
I did. Oh my god.
All right. Well, it's gotta happen at some point. Oh man. Well, that was it's a good showcase up until that point. Oh, I don't even know what we do there. Do we play another game?
That's up to you.
Yeah.
You're the boss.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Why not?
Sure, we'll go more. Since we're breaking up the show, I mean, a little bit of extra time's not a big deal.
Makes for a great YouTube YouTube description. Watch Slicky. Misclick and shame. Oh man. All right. Well, that was looking like it was a lot of fun. So
It was a lot of fun. One of the kind of problems of this deck is there aren't a lot of ways to deal with big minions, but most of the time you can get something that kills minions with one of your Death Knight cards. So once again, I'm gonna swing for some. Are you spectating yet? No.
lean back. All right. All right. Spectate's queuing up. Shaman, huh?
Playing against a shaman.
All right, we got some early game this time.
We have a little bit of early game. We don't have our taunts like we kind of want, but
We
I don't really know what this guy's playing now.
Shutterwalk.
Maybe they don't normally play that, but maybe this is like a more value-oriented Shutterwalk.
We're going for Hagatha Elementals.
Yeah, could be. Is that something you see a lot in Wild or no?
No. It's always Shutterwalk. You've got a taunt? I've got a taunt.
Yeah. Yeah, Cryptlord's the most busted card, you know, if you can get it to stick. I really like it a lot. People will drop hexes, silence, whatever. So, it looks to me like this guy's probably going to Volcano eventually. So, let's see what we can get out of some of these cards. I wonder if he's going to coin it out. I think he kind of has to because there's already 14 health on the board. Oh, there it is. Hex on a Cryptlord. You might regret that. Yeah, I don't want to invest anything too big into this board because I'm pretty sure he's going to do something to it soon.
Yeah, and I mean, right now you don't really need to. Mind control tech.
Titles. Oh, did not put that there. Makes more sense. Yeah, I don't really mind just playing minions, even though I know something's going to happen, just because this deck can get so much value. But we don't have a lot of our big value cards yet. There's the Vulcan. If he was more aggressive, I probably would have saved the Apple Bomb, but... Okay, so we'll go ahead and play another Apple Bomb. I am playing a little bit fast and loose because this is my second game, and I'm like, let's just go ahead and get this over with. Oh, after that 2 mana crystal fiasco, though. If I had done that, like, in a public venue, I'd do it.
This is a delayed public venue. 2 years from now, someone will find this and be like, look what he did.
Yeah. So...
This will be grisly.
I wonder if we're going to see another Hex. Ooh. Like crushing insects. Kind of want to obliterate that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
The Earth Mother is near.
Oh, snap.
Out of my
He's just going to put up a wall of taunts. He's stealing my strategy. There are a lot of good taunts for Shaman. Not as many now that whatchamacallit's gone. It's the 5/5 that summons a 10/10.
Oh, White Eyes.
Yeah. Now that White Eyes is gone, it's not quite as good.
I'm warning you. I'm unstable. I'm warning you. I'm unstable.
Fine. Probably Volcano again here.
That's incredible. I see lunch.
No! Dinner!
Oh, nice.
Nice to meet you.
I wish we could get rid of this 2-1. Oh. I'm not getting any of my fun cards, but this match is going pretty well.
Where one falls, two shall sprout.
Need to clear up some space since we've got Splitting Festival.
Hmm.
I feel like he's stalling.
Seems that way.
For Shudderwalk, I guess. Let's go ahead and get this guy done. Might have to nourish us for cards. See, this is one of the things that annoys me, though. I always draw Master Row card in my bottom cards. I always draw Dollmaster Door into my bottom cards. But there's a lot of value, so you still get to have fun with them. Oh, you're right. The Haggy stuff.
Yeah, not an elemental Hagatha, it doesn't look like, but
His deck looks fun, too.
it's ridiculous Crypt Lord.
He's working on it.
Hey! We made up for it.
Too annoying for him to deal with.
So one game we got to see almost the effect, and the other game we got to see just the deck do pretty well without those. So that's kind of typical.
Yeah, and even in the deck where I did the really stupid thing, I wasn't really that far behind against a meta deck, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
So let's watch you do some cool stuff.
No, we're gonna jump in and talk about some suggestions for your deck. So I think I like most of what's in there. I got one definite suggestion and two questions, I think. So the ones that are kind of oddball to me are Volatile Elemental and Abomination. Like, I get the combo with Abomination and Skelemancer. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm kind of wondering, like, does Abomination screw up the rest of what's going on in your deck? And Volatile Elemental, I can see it, coming off a Dollmaster. That's pretty good, but it seems like maybe kind of a weak play, just in general. So I'm kind of wondering, like, are there reasons for those two being in there? Is there something else that you could swap in where they're just like not that many other appealing death rattles at those mana levels? What's going on with those?
Yeah, I definitely get they seem weird. This deck has no spells, so there's no removal. Volatile Elemental and Abomination are the only two removal cards in this entire deck. And if your opponent gets something like, Flappy Bird, Vicious Fledgling on turn 3, and all you have up is like a Stonehill Defender or something, and he gets through it, then you just lose. You need a way to be able to fight for early board, and just putting up a bunch of taunts doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
So I've got Elemental in there to help me clear smaller stuff, and you saw it was kind of going to work against the big Hungry Etten. So you really need that to clear off a lot of the early game stuff and to help you contest the early board, because taunts are just taunts. They just stick there. And since most of the taunts are only one attack, they don't really do a lot.
Yeah, and you can't put Voodoo Doll in, because if you pull that off of your Grizzled Guardian or something, or Doll Master, it's just useless. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, and Abomination, the more I use this card, I'm kind of surprised it's not just seeing play, because against all of the different Paladin decks that everybody's playing right now, they're playing Call to Arms, all of these different ways to get out a ton of 1 and 2 health minions. You drop Abomination on 5, and they have to blow it up and blow up their own board, or they have to use a Spellbreaker on a less than ideal minion. So it kind of just contends the board in a way that a lot of other cards can't.
So. Okay. And then my definite suggestion, and even if there's a reason to have one over the other, this is a good, I think, substitution, because we do our epic and legendary substitutions. But why Hogger over Green Jelly?
That's a good question. I never thought about Green Jelly. There isn't a hard reason. I mean, Hogger is pretty much the same thing, but a little bit better and a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
My 5 mana slot is pretty full, though. So, I mean, maybe having a 6 mana card is a little better.
Okay. And then in terms of epic and legendary substitutions, it looks like the only epic we have in here is the Splitting Fester Root.
Right. And you can substitute anything that gets a lot of value instead of that.
Are we looking for a Death Rattle?
You can do a Death Rattle. Some things that I suggested to myself, like Cobalt Scalebane, doesn't hurt to get that off of Dollmaster. Honestly, the deck could probably use a little bit of weapon removal, because that's a way you can end up behind. Worgen Abomination is an epic, but because you have a lot of taunts, a lot of the time your opponent's minions all get dinged up, and you can just use Worgen Abomination to clear a lot of those.
What about Violet Worm?
Yeah, Violet Worm is perfect to fill that slot. It's an 8 mana thing. It makes a bunch of bodies. So yeah, Violet Worm's fantastic. And it also synergizes really well with Cryptlord.
Now we do have a lot of other legendaries in here. So we've got Arphis, Umbra, Bloodhoof. We already talked about Hogger.
Really central to the deck, though, is like Dollmaster Dorian and Nourish. Okay. So as long as you have those two, you don't need the other stuff.
Just put in other good value, either Death Rattle or kind of static effect minions.
Yeah, or taunts are good. One card I wish I had that I don't, that I think would kind of push this deck over the edge into being maybe even tier ranked. I really wish I had the spider. The spider that brings back all of your taunts.
Adronauts, yeah.
Adronauts. Yeah, I don't think somebody could clear my board that many times. I mean, maybe they could, but I think if I threw that in here, it would be an abusively strong deck, but I don't have it. So.
Okay. Sounds good to me. And you still don't have the screen share? Is that right?
I didn't last time I checked. Nope, don't have
it. I'm going to go ahead and do that so you can see what's going on here. Once your name goes away, I'll put you back up. All right. Cool. Well.
So let's talk about your deck, your evil deck that you made.
All right. So my deck doesn't have a fancy, cool name this time around. It's just called Handmill. And it spawned from the idea that I wanted to make a Mill Druid deck I started initially trying to do a odd deck because I really wanted to use Gloomstag. And while I do think in an odd deck, Gloomstag is actually really strong, in order to make a mill deck, it just, like, it made more sense to get rid of the mono limitation. So I definitely want to look at a odd Druid in the future, because Gloomstag actually turned out to be pretty good, like a 4/8 taunt for 5. It's not bad. And some of the other cards in here that I was using was, Bewitched Guardian, because that would come out very strong most of the time. And that fit into the, whole odd cost synergy stuff. And then, Ferocious Howl, because you've got the hand stuff going on. So, that's kind of the direction I went. I was like, well, I want to make this odd Druid. I want to make a mill, and a lot of these cards that draw cards, it means I'm going to have a big hand, so maybe I should do, like, a hand Druid thing. And I played that, and it wasn't horrible or anything, but it just kind of made more sense. Like, okay, well, if I'm really going to go down this mill road, you want some of those even cost cards. So let me go ahead and swap out those decks. There we go. So taking a look at this deck, so some of the cards, like you can see most of these are still odd, but by switching to not worrying about it either way, I was able to put in Youthful Brewmasters for a little bit of bounce, and then also Forest Guides. And Forest Guides, holy crap! Like, you think Cold Light Oracle is good? You get a Forest Guide that they can't get rid of, and this thing will just mill them to pieces. So, yes, it is brutal. So what we got going on here is we've got our mill cards, right? So we have Naturalize, we've got Cold Light Oracle, Dancing Swords, Death Lord, because it pulls a card out of their deck. It doesn't necessarily mill it, but it makes their deck thinner, so they get closer to being milled. Grove Tender. Tanklefur Mystic works as a mill card as well, because you can play this, you give them a 2-cost minion, but if that 2-cost minion goes into their hand, and it means that one of their cards they actually want gets milled, you're fine with that. And then we have Forest Guide. So this keeps your hand full, so you can use your hand synergies, and keeps their hand full, or mills cards, just kind of automatically. Some of the other stuff we have in here is we've got things for defense. So we have Earthen Scales, which honestly, Earthen Scales, your best value from Earthen Scales is getting it on a Dancing Swords. So you're really only getting like maybe 5 armor, but Earthen Scales is good because as your minions take damage, especially like the Forest Guide, you get that +1/+1 will keep them out of AoE range sometimes, and give you that extra turn of card draw. You've got the Jade Idol, obviously, to keep yourself from getting milled, and to put a little pressure on the board as you can. Jasper Spellstone, you get a bunch of armor, so you're able to upgrade this super easily, and use that for hard removal. In addition to Naturalize, we got Brewmaster for bouncing, Brand's Bronzebeard for getting the double battle cries off Cold Lights, or off of like the Grove Tenders or Tanglefurs. Ferocious Howl, we got a lot of cards in hand, we get a lot of armor that helps keep us alive. Voodoo Doll for removal. Zola the Gorgon, because there's all kinds of stuff in this deck that we want to copy. Even if we do get to bounce it, copying a Cold Light or another Forest Guide, that's all great. Sludge Belcher is there to protect your face and to protect your Forest Guide, so double taunt. I tried this with the Apple Bomb, but with all the armor, I usually didn't need as much health, and them having to go through 2 taunts was usually better than me getting a little bit of health back. So this deck has some hard counters. Kingsbane Rogue is if I queue up against one of those, like, I just lose. Unless I somehow get super lucky and mill their dagger.
That happens, with every deck. There's always one thing you just can't beat. So
Yeah. So, and there are some other matchups that are kind of bad, but it's a fun deck. It's a very assholey deck, and I like it. So
yeah, it really is an assholey deck. You took the two most hated decks. You took Jade Druid and Mill, and you just shoved them together and made like the worst deck that anybody's ever created.
So that's the deck, and it's actually fairly low cost for the most part. So we'll see that when we get to the substitutions. So yeah, this really can go either way, and it's a deck that I think gets better the more you play it, because you kind of have to really get a sense of what your opponent's deck is trying to do and where you're gonna screw up their plans. And in most games, this is like my favorite thing to do, is not necessarily to have my own game plan, but to just say, whatever you're trying to do, don't do that. So, I like it. I'm going to jump into rank. My rank is still super low, so we'll see what happens.
Well, at low ranks, you always face the people that are like crossing over from the other side of Hearthstone with their really powerful decks, trying to get easy wins.
So we do want some early drops. So the thing with this deck is, even though you're milling, you need to pressure face, because the mill alone won't kill them, right? You
Pressure
want,
face against what?
by the time you're milling them to the point where they're going to be taking damage, like their health needs to be lower. I'm not too worried about Bran. He's just like a win more card. We'll keep a Grove Tender. Voodoo Dolls, like to have those for bigger late game threats, and we want to try to fish for something a little bit earlier game, since we already have one Grove Tender. So we're looking for like a Spellstone, or Dancing Swords is fine too.
Nature's blessings upon you.
So we're just going to skip, and we will coin probably into Grove Tender to get us some more resources initially.
How do you think your odds are kind of against what looks like a token shaman?
I honestly don't know.
Oh, that's a big boy.
Job done.
But we got the forest guides, so
Yeah.
and a sludge belcher, so being able to drop those is good. But against token shaman, I don't know. I'm probably gonna give him too many combo cards. Oh, let's see. 5 cards. I can give him 2. That doesn't do a whole lot. If I drop Dancing Swords, he'll have to trade and do something else. So, I think that's okay.
Frogs rule!
Flag roar!
Alright, yeah, I pretty much just lost this match. If he's got a Bloodlust, yeah, I'm just done. But we can try for a Death Lord.
Does not scare me.
And I think it's worth it to go ahead and just
Eh,
get rid of this. Gives him more chance to get a Bloodlust, but that's okay. And the other thing with aggro is, I mean, they empty their hand pretty quickly, so.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, typically that's always how the matchup goes, kind of right for a mill deck, is either
Yeah.
you win against control or you lose against aggro.
But if you draw enough of the taunts and things like that, sometimes you can still win against aggro. It's going all face.
I think we can do a do-over for this one as well.
Oh, let's see.
This'll be good.
Like I said before, a lot of times your best option is Dancing Sword. So we'll go ahead, we'll trade here. Spellstone there. It's not totally over yet. I mean,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're starting to stabilize, but I mean, it gets kind of tricky though. It's hard to stabilize against aggro if you're giving them cards.
yeah.
But maybe you can run them out.
I think I need to Sludge Belcher here. Yep. Sludge Belcher, I think, is the way to go. Yeah, and I'm also having to expend my resources just trying to stabilize, so that means I have less cards for, like, if I draw Ferocious Howl, I'm not going to get as much armor off of it.
Four mana, 7/7.
Yep.
Now, do you have any sort of activator for the voodoo doll, or no?
I mean, I can, like, use my Spellstone on it or something if I want, but usually it's a scenario like this where it's behind a taunt or something like that, and, you know, I can kind of trade when I want, or if they want to AoE to try to get rid of, like, the Forest Guide and stuff, they can do that. So, yeah, I think this is just game for the most part.
Well, let's concede and start over. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, that works for me.
I can't win them all.
Poor Lunara. Seems really broken up with them.
Alright, I'm going to switch to casual just so I don't queue into that same deck again, because wild ranked, that'll happen a lot of times. You'll end your game, queue right away, and you're just queuing to the same person.
Yeah. I think your deck would probably do really well against, like, a control warlock, probably.
Oh yeah, because they want to tap too. So warrior, once again, mill decks, you know. This guy can armor up through a lot of the damage.
Yeah. I guess if he has, what is it? That Dead Man's Hand? That might be bad. But
Alright. Jade Idol on turn 1 is okay. It does kind of give away what your deck is doing, but
you might think you're Jade Druid.
yeah. Well, it's not a great opening hand. One of the other things with this deck is, like, you need to draw your own cards as well. Oh, taunt. That's okay.
I think this is a pretty good matchup because they normally only drop one minion per turn, so you can kind of force them into a nasty state probably.
I decided to ramp up start ramping the Jades there just because my opening hand is so bad. I need to do something here to try to get some ping damage in or whatever. Okay, guy.
Captain Saint Germain.
Man.
This will be good.
We're going to try to build up our hand for a good Ferocious Howl, because there's nothing too threatening on the board right now. And the more stuff we play, the more little Armorsmith pings he'll be able to get in.
Looks like he's planning on playing a Blood Razor.
Which is fine. Draw all the cards. That's what I want you to do.
More.
Ah, we have a voodoo doll, but
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna end up playing against, like, you know, Lich King and stuff, probably.
This will be good.
Have a card.
You didn't draw the meat and potatoes of your deck. It makes me sad.
It's okay though, because this is a control matchup, so I can eventually get him.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't get his Ragnaros hero power really quickly. But normally they don't.
I think this is a good Sludge Belcher turn. Ooh, we got the Cold Light. Cold Light and Brewmaster. That's what I'm talking about.
I would say he probably doesn't know you're a mill deck yet, just because he dropped Acolyte of Pain. So you might be able to spring it on him.
I have an axe to grind.
Okay. Alright, so next turn we can Cold Light, Brewmaster, Cold Light.
Oh yeah, next turn.
Yep. So this turn, I think I'll just do another Sludge Belcher and a Jade Idol. Well, I don't like using my Sludge Belchers because then I have nothing to protect my Forest Guides, but I think it's okay. Maybe we'll get him to use his other Execute. Alright, so I've used 2 Jade Idols out of 5, so.
Job done.
Yeah, it seems like you probably wouldn't want to put a lot of those in your deck just because you want to draw your tools.
Yeah, you want to put them in towards the end.
I have an axe to grind.
Yes. I am fine with that. Ah, it's not going to let me mill him.
Trying not to.
Alright, it's time to reveal the plan. Ooh, we got a Death Lord.
Drink with me, friend.
Guess what, buddy? Go away. Oh, where are my Forest Guides? I got one of them. And I got a Death Lord to put it behind.
Oh, he's drawing. He's drawing.
Oh, here we go. Here we
You can't
go.
overdraw me, only I overdraw.
A lot of good Zola targets. Let's see. I think we need a Death Lord.
Yeah, slow him down a little bit.
Well, he's got 8 cards.
Now how about
9, 10. Bounce it back with Zola. Or we could 9, 10, put it behind the Death Lord. Let's see what we get. Okay. We put it behind a Death Lord.
Death does not scare me.
Well, that was a nice one to get rid of.
Get it. We got one. I wonder if he thinks he can keep that acolyte alive the whole game.
It's not gonna happen. He's gonna have a lot of armor, though. Aw, you don't get to play that one. Sorry. Man, he is. He is really just. Yeah, he's trying. He's trying his hardest.
He's got a good bit of damage on board, though.
He does. All right. Oh, baby. That was a little too late. But I can get my cold light back here. He does have a lot of damage on board, but I can get rid of. Definitely going to do that. I probably need to get rid of the curator, although he's at 6 of 7, so he's got enough space to finish his quest if he wants to. I want to get my cold light back. Aw, I didn't want to burn that one. Yeah, we're probably going to lose this one as well.
Yeah, I think you drew your tools a little bit too late.
Yep. Digging for a taunt, or he's got to have another taunt.
Maybe he was probably counting on using Stonehill Defender to get a couple of extras.
That's true.
Oh, I got one.
Yep.
And Sulfurous is 3 mana, is that right?
Yeah, but it looked like he was going to play something different. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like this.
Drawing Broken Swords to contest the board, so I mean you might be able to stay alive.
Let's see, 7. If I play 2, I'm down to 5. Draw up to 9. He's at 9. I can mill a bunch of his cards right now.
Yeah,
And
I really need to get something on the board, but but most of the stuff he has on board only does 1 damage. So.
yeah, I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah, just do it.
Let's see, what do I got? 7 cards, so this will give me exactly 10.
Both brawls.
Do I Death Lord? Do I have a couple? No, I do Ferocious Howl, I think. Ooh.
So we're gonna start doing shuffle? No.
Yeah, we'll do it on the next one.
Okay.
You got 1 card
Oh,
left.
this is looking pretty close after that 10 armor gain.
Yeah, and I have another one. So.
What now?
Oh. Oh, he killed a bunch of his own stuff.
Drew a card.
Just trying to stack that armor, I guess.
Yeah, but
He still could have got some face damage with a couple of those minions he killed, though. So
yeah, it wasn't.
maybe he's a little panicky or something.
I think this is at the wire for him. If he doesn't kill you like now, he is going to die.
Spellstone. Okay, so we want to get some stuff on the board, try to contest some things. I do want to get rid of these Tanklefurs, though, before. I don't want to give him free stuff.
Right.
So. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh.
Cool.
Ooh.
Fancy stuff.
Get it.
Oh, I think he's done. I think he's about to hang up his spurs.
Okay.
I haven't seen the Witch King yet.
Gotta use this hero power at some point, dude. Ooh.
No, he doesn't. He knows what he's doing. The less hero powers, the better. Right? I mean, the quest is just there for looks.
Alright, well, this is definitely getting played. Okay, I don't want to put out the forest guide until... I think I want to kill his... Do I have another voodoo doll? Or did I use one already?
You used one, I think. Didn't you?
Okay. I think
No,
so.
you have two in hand.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. I'm going to use one on this guy.
This'll be good. Time goes short.
Yeah. I'm in no rush. Alright, so the next Jade Idol definitely gets shuffled.
Yeah, I don't think you'll need to. I think he's about had it, but oh, he's gonna put a card back in his own deck.
Hmm. Well, what are you doing, man? Oh, you know, he doesn't want to play his weapon because he can't keep armoring up once he switches hero powers. Seems like a weird choice.
Yeah, the 8 damage is a lot more than the amount of health you can gain by armoring up.
Ah.
You already lost both walls, so you can't keep dealing with your board.
Alright, guy. Here we go.
The great outdoors.
Sorry, Captain Saint Germain. You got a cards? No.
I think this is okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have a 6/9 that you'll have to deal with, though. But you'll have a big enough board at the time that I think you can deal with it.
I don't want to do that.
I'm out of cards.
Okay. Well, we got a forest guide. We got a Jade Idol. Maybe another naturalized? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so. I think you played the first one pretty early.
Yeah.
He's death throw.
Yep. Sorry, dude.
I'm running out of cards.
Yep.
Oh,
Told
you
you.
have another naturalizer. What's wrong?
Boop.
That's game.
Alright. So that was a little bit better, even though a lot of those tools came late. Hey, and I finished
Yeah,
a
it was
quest.
close. It was close there for a minute, and then it was really not close at all.
Because those ferocious howls, man. I'm telling you, like, you draw those cards and it's like, hey, I have 10 more health and 10 more health. So let's hop in here. Do you have any suggestions? And then we'll get into possible substitutions.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. Now you were talking about Earthen Scales, and you said best case scenario you drop it on Dancing Swords.
Yeah.
Because your
But
hand's feeling what?
also, the other thing with Earthen Scales is pulling some of your minions out of AoE range for particular things.
Now, have you thought about doing Bark Skin instead? It would help you upgrade your Spellstone maybe a little bit more, get you out of AoE range, and get them further. Well, yeah.
That's a potential option for that. I could try
Just
that
a
out.
thought, because you don't have that much damage you can do with your guys.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes, like, the best case scenario for me is getting 5 armor, so dropping it down to 3 to give a minion 3 health, yeah, that does seem a little better, considering mainly what I want to do is, like, keep my forest guides from dying, or, you know, there is the occasional edge case there where you saw I was able to give the Jade Golem the +1 attack, and that let it trade.
Right.
So, yeah, it's something I could definitely try, though.
Yeah. Have you thought about this would kind of keep in the theme of smart moves of using the newest card, Baleful Banker, to maybe add some more cold lights in there.
Yeah, I think I was using that in an earlier iteration of the deck, and I want to say the reason that I didn't keep it in there is because it has little impact right away, and a lot of times that's the difference between winning and losing. So, like a Brewmaster or like a Gorgon is usually better, but Baleful Banker, even though it's an epic, could be a good substitution for like Zola.
Yeah.
You know,
And it would
stepping
give
down
you
from legendary to epic.
Yeah, give you more late game stuff to draw aside from just Jade Idols. So that was one thing that I thought might be fun. And I know this is kind of a weird idea, but did you think about putting Azalina in there?
I didn't have Azalina when I made this deck, so I do have her now. So yeah, that could be a possibility.
I'm not sure exactly how you would use that, but I just feel like maybe like switching decks with your opponent and then her hands. No, I guess you'd be copying their hand.
Yeah.
Never mind. This is probably a bad idea. Voodoo Doll's a little bit weird to me just because you don't really have activators for it. It's normally an activator card.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like there's just not a lot of hard removal in Druid.
Right.
One of the cards I don't have, so yeah, Voodoo Doll is taking the place of Mulch because I don't have Mulch. So Mulch is destroy a minion, add a random minion to your opponent's hand. Obviously, you know, that's a hand filler thing as well. That can be worse or better than Voodoo Doll, but that is why, that's why Voodoo Doll is in there, is because I don't have any Mulch, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to craft it or not.
Right. Okay, and then the only other thing is kind of a staple of these decks is just Mukla is generally a good. I mean, you have a ton of 3-drops, so I can understand if you want to just add another one.
And
but Mukla is pretty popular for these.
Yep, I don't have Mukla, so that's why he's not in there. And I think that originally what I had done is I had put in 1 Tanglefur as a kind of substitution for Mukla, and I ended up liking it so much I put 2 in. But if I had Mukla, yeah, I think I would put, you know, obviously like take out a Tanglefur, put a Mukla in. That seems pretty straightforward and good to me.
Yeah.
And I like this deck enough. Maybe I'll craft it. So
yeah, Tanglefur Mystic, I had really ended up liking that card throughout this expansion because it's a really solid body. And if you're playing a faster deck where you're emptying out your hand, just a little bit of refill goes a long way.
Yeah. So as far as substitutions go, like I said, this is a pretty cheap deck. Brand's not necessary. He's just, kind of win more. I would go with maybe some kind of a bounce effect, or you could swap Brand for Mukla if you have Mukla, or just anything that, is going to, if you just look up, like search for draw, see what you have that'll make your opponent draw, if anything, and you could toss that in there. Or you could substitute him for a little bit more survival, or maybe a little bit more face damage that you can push early game. So, like, swap him out and put something a little more aggressive in from the Druid. Like, maybe you could do the Druid of the Scythe. That kind of gives you a little hard removal, or Taunt to put your Forest Guides behind. So that's a good kind of flex thing there. Or you could do even like a Feral Rage removal armor. Those are options.
Oh, one thing that didn't come up, but is a really good play a lot of the time, if you are going to be running Voodoo Doll like you are, like Voodoo Doll and then naturalizing your own Voodoo Doll, like, will kill a minion and make your opponent draw cards. So that's a pretty cool thing you can do too.
Yeah, you can do that, but generally, that naturalizes for like the Lich Kings and stupid shit that people put out. But yeah, you could definitely do that. So that's what I would do with Bran. After that, I think, Zola, you can do another bounce effect if you have one. You could, let's see here, get this mana filter off here. There's like Ancient Brewmaster. It's 1 mana more, but it's another bounce effect that you could use if you wanted to. Or once again, you could just put something in that helps pressure face. All around, I think Zola is a pretty good legendary to have in general, though. So, and then the Voodoo Dolls, we already kind of talked about that. Those are a substitution for Mulch, but Mulch is also a epic card. So really what you're looking for here with a substitution for Voodoo Doll is you're looking for something that can hard remove an opponent's minion.
Yeah, like maybe Black Knight, but that's also expensive.
Well, you could do, like, Keeper of the Grove is not bad. It adds a little bit of silence in there, because sometimes, like, you saw, like, there were several opportunities in that game where if I had a silence, that could have done the trick, or if I had the 2 damage, I could have, killed that Acolyte of Pain and caused him to draw that card instead of just sitting on it the whole time. So that's not a horrible one. It's not the best, card in the world there, but, it could work. So
Maybe a Venomous minion?
Yeah, that could work too, like a Cobra, or you could use the Snail, since you've got the extra taunt to protect your stuff as well. So, yeah, other than that, I mean, everything here is common or rare or basic, so fairly cheap deck. I don't think that Bran or Voodoo Doll or Zola are absolutely critical to playing the deck, so yeah. And that's it. So we got 1 match left. So are we gonna we had the idea, are we gonna stick to me playing my deck versus you, or do we want to do the borrow the decks?
I would like for you to have the fun of playing with my awesome fun deck. So.
Yeah. So we're changing it up now that there's the borrow decks feature. That is what we're going to be doing. Slicky's going to play my deck. I'm going to play his deck, and we're going to see which of us noobs will win. Okay.
I think that I will probably win because I feel like your deck is really strong against mine.
Yeah. Maybe. Does Dorian, he doesn't work if the card gets milled, right? I would assume not.
I don't think so, but that's never come up.
Okay. So, what am I mulliganing for here? That seems bad. Those all seem bad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. No! All I'm gonna do is stall and keep you from milling me, but it's not gonna
That's
work.
what you're supposed to do.
It's not gonna work.
Half of my deck is stall, and the other half is value.
Boom! Look at this 2-drop.
Big, sexy 2-drop.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do when they come for you, bad boys, bad boy?
Oh God.
Out of my jungle.
Yeah.
How dare you hit me in the face?
I did
Like
it.
I'm some commoner.
Oh, double dancing swords. Jeez.
Taste my steel!
No.
Oh, at least you dropped one curve.
The road is a ribbon of moonlight.
You know, you would think a deck like the one you're using that only has 2 card draws in it would really lack for hand size, but it doesn't because of all the like different recruits and stuff. So,
Yeah, I like this borrow decks thing. It's fun.
yeah.
Now how about
Nature will rise.
Don't rise against me, nature. Don't do it. I bet you don't even have any real removal in that deck.
Nope, but I got one of these.
Ancient one.
That's not in the deck. That's not regulation.
a stranger?
Yeah, I'm super gonna get milled here. Oh, what a useless minion. Oh no! No! Damn it.
My hand is too full.
Oh, I'm so glad I switched decks with you.
Gonna mill Dorian. Oh, nope, that's okay.
My hand is too full. What we do.
Just gotta get shit out of my hand. Oh my god.
Oh shit, I lost my cold light.
Ha ha ha.
Oh well.
It's almost better to just get a forest guide.
Who knows what secrets will uncover? My hand is too full. My hand is too full.
Yeah, I just need to get rid of. There we go.
Out of my jungle.
This is why your deck is the devil.
I just whatever. I gotta get some space. That seems unfair. Ooh. Too bad I don't have Dorian. That would have been nice.
Yeah, he's always in the bottom of your deck, so it's just how it works. Oh, there he is.
Ugh.
My hand is too full.
Oh, God. Screw it. No, I gotta do this. Gotta get rid of that damn forest guy.
Hand overflows.
Hey,
My hand
you're
is-
milling.
Mind if I roll knee?
No.
Nice.
No. No.
Ah, the great outdoors.
My hand is too full.
How do you still have cards? Goodness. How many cards do I got to mill?
Man.
Warriors of the frozen waste.
I hope you get that card that's like, destroy all minions, throw away one of the cards in your deck for each.
I feel like I haven't lost yet. I got 2 cards left.
Do you? Do you?
No. No, I don't. Okay. I didn't need a nourish anyway. No. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Well, your deck's very good.
Wrecked.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'd switch decks. I would have felt bad about that.
I was sitting here like, man, I should play Master Oakheart, and then I was like, no, I shouldn't do that. That's closer to fatigue. Oh man. All right. Well, that is the Druid deck showcase. Obviously, we both have some pretty fun decks. These are really enjoyable to play, I think. And next week, we are doing Rogue. And that was your pick, I believe. And the following week, we're going to be doing Shaman. That'll be my pick, Shaman. So, thanks for tuning into the show. Hope you had a good time, and we will see you next week.